Welcome to the 775 Alive podcast, your rural Nevada headquarters for decoding politics, economics, and general global shenanigans. I'm Crystal Newton, your business strategist, breaking down why Nevada's hustle is stronger than a sagebrush root in a windstorm. Here with my trusty co-host, Scott Gaborski, PhD historian, here to explain the smart lessons of history, even if we are likely to ignore them. Grab your boots for a wild ride through today's most important news.
Okay, so welcome back, 775 Alive. We're actually doing another road trip again. We're actually down here at the Whipple Ranch, down in Hiko. We're going to be talking with Cody Whipple and some other guests here in a minute. But we are joined today by
Lisa Poulsen. I am the County Commissioner for District C down here in Lincoln County.
Lincoln County, that's the one that got overrun with the Area 51 incident.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So, and of course, Lincoln County has been, right next to Clark, but still part of the 775. Mm-hmm. And one that has had really an interesting set of experiences, I think, over the last few years. So, old ranching country, of course, for years, right. High population centers, railroad coming through Caliente. Mm-hmm. But you also have this dynamic where you're part of this massive CD4 that's outside of Vegas that doesn't get as much attention as it probably should, right? Yeah. How do you see that impacting efforts to run a county?
I think one of the ways that it kind of impacts us is we feel like we're sort of forgotten, right? We're just sort of out there, left alone, don't get a whole lot of support, and that's really hard when you are trying to run such a rural county on such a small budget. So that's one of the things that I would love to see. And I've said to several of our, national representatives and state representatives, especially because our rural counties, a lot of the times we are ran on grants. We are funded by grants, but we don't have a whole lot of time or manpower to put into getting some of that, federal dollars that's out there. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see a grants writer, a representative, a rural liaison, any of those things that we could use to really help us continue to grow and thrive. And I would say right there, yes, we want to grow and thrive, but by no means do we ever want to become Las Vegas or Mesquite or Reno. We want to keep the authenticity of our little towns. We love it here. We love our neighbors, our characteristics, but we also want to be in this century too. We want to have the infrastructure that we need to make sure that we can thrive and that future generations can come back and live here and grow their families here and survive here. Crystal and I were talking, I'm the 6th generation of my family to live in Alamo. My several great-grandfather founded this town, and it has my heart. I absolutely love it here, and I want that for future generations, both of my family and of my neighbors. We want to be able to come back and continue to grow, and so we need to stay with the times that way too. So
I'm actually really surprised to hear that we don't have some state program that helps little counties apply for grants, because that's free money.
Yeah, not that I've found, and I've tried to do my homework the last year that I've been in office. Yeah. We do have a rural liaison through the governor's office, and they are always great to help us with questions and things that we have. But we don't have any kind of assistance for grant writing, not for the rurals that I've found.
Yeah, and we were just talking about your accomplishments. It was so great to hear a politician talk about real accomplishments. You got a bike lane installed.
Yep.
Kids after school were walking all over the highway to get to the convenience store. That's no bueno. You came in and we're like, bike lanes. And then I was like, how did you pay for it? Was that a federal grant? She's like, no, it was locally funded.
Yep, RTC funds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really impressive.
It is, and it was one of the things that we desperately needed. Streetlights is another one we're working on that has been a desperate need, and that's happening in Alamo, but it's happening throughout the county too. We were able to do a street in Caliente the same way, and one in Panaca. And like I was saying, one of the things we're great at here is making our dollars stretch as far as we possibly can, because that's what we've had to do for generations,
Yeah.
Now, Lincoln County's roughly about 5,000 people, maybe a little less. What's the land area?
You know what? I don't have that off the top of my head. It's large.
Yeah. Well, no, and I think this is important because I think it's something that a lot of people don't really understand about the rurals. Of course, Elko County is fourth largest county in the United States.
Right.
Right. So even though we have a population of 57,000 people, they're spread over 17,000 square miles.
Right. Yes.
Right. So you're here in Alamo, which is on 93 going into Vegas.
Right.
Right. But a large component of the population is actually in that string of cities on the other side of the mountains, right?
Right.
Caliente, Pioche, Panaca.
Yeah.
Right?
Caliente, Panaca, Pioche.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
How does that play out in local politics, do you think? Just the vast differences, right? Because back east where I lived in Georgia, the problem was everybody batted up against each other. So there's always jurisdictional boundaries. But here it's the entirely different problem. You're never close enough.
Right, absolutely. And in fact, my dad's from New Hampshire, and he says all the time, my entire state would fit inside of Lincoln County, I think twice over or something like that. But as far as distance goes, I think it makes it difficult because there's a communication barrier, right? We are that much further away. Even for me to attend commission meetings, it's an hour and a half one way, then your meeting, and an hour and a half back. That's 3 hours of travel time for every meeting that I attend in the county seat. So thankfully we've been able to kind of use technology to our advantage and implement some virtual meetings, which has been really helpful. But it definitely plays into the, there's more of them up there. And I think that's, part of the reason I ran was I felt like Alamo just wasn't really getting the representation that I envisioned for us. And so I decided to do something about it. And that was, how I was raised. If you don't like something, you can complain about it, but you better step up and do something about it too. So that's honestly kind of why I ran. I wanted a different vision. I wanted to see something change, and here we are a year later, hoping to get as much done as we can. So
what do you think about relationships with Vegas? Because this is an interesting issue. I think that's going on. There's a lot of fears out here in these counties. Southern Nye's got the same situation, that they're getting absorbed by this Las Vegas monster.
See, I lived in Vegas for 10 years. When I graduated high school, I went to UNLV. My husband and I lived down there, and we moved back when we had our son. So I taught in Clark County School District. I lived in Las Vegas. I understand that there are some really incredible, great people there that also are just trying to do the best they can for our state. There's always going to be a little bit of push and shove because, there's a lot more of them and there's a lot more money down there. But I don't think that we can't work together. We have a lot of assets and a lot of resources that we can offer. And I think, I don't know, I'm a school teacher at heart, right? So for me, I'm like, let's have a good meeting and everybody sit down and discuss it like adults. And I think we could come to a solution. So I think it's more about just the give and take, because if you try to fight it, you're going to end up with a fight. And I don't think that's in anybody's best interest. I think if we work together, we'll be able to get a lot more done.
Kristen?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Our culture and society is really, really pushed towards centralized government and getting government grants as a part of your economy and your infrastructure. And the last 8 years living in rural Nevada it's turned everything that I've learned on its head, because I realize when life is more difficult and you actually have to raise the funds to fix a problem,
right,
that it actually builds the community.
Does.
And it leads to people's sense of feeling like having well-being and feeling productive and feeling like they belong.
Camaraderie.
And I've noticed that the harder these small towns have to work, the more quality of life that they seem to have. And it's turned everything on my head, because we're always taught to automate and make things easier and quicker and faster, and it's turning out that people are getting sicker and more unhappy. But then I look at a small place like this, you're getting practical things done, you're interfacing with the community, you maybe don't have the support you need, but it's in some ways making the community strong. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Yeah, I could see that. I do think too, just as far as like local government goes, I think those are the people that know you the best, right? Like I said, I grew up here. I'm raising my family here. You're not going to find anyone that is going to know Alamo much better than I do. Now, do I know everything? No, we're all going to have our own strengths and weaknesses. But I know my community and I know what they need and I know how to help them. And there are things that, we've been able to accomplish or I'm working on or projects that I've done that people are like, oh, I've been thinking about that and I just didn't know if I could bring it up. Mm-hmm. And you're already working on it. Yeah, because I know you. I know what you need. I know what we need.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I'm really trying to target with my term as county commissioner. So
and a lot of people haven't had that experience. I've got a home in McDermott, and anytime we hear of a crime up there, we all know who did it.
Oh yeah.
Everyone, we all know who did it. And it's so interesting to live in a community like that, and in kind of the old ways. It's almost a tribal aspect. It's very informative and it's very intuitive and common sense based, and it's hard to describe because most people don't have that experience. They're in an urban population where they live anonymous lives and they can
absolutely
not be honest with themselves and other people and not realize they're a little off course. But in a small town, you get corrected and reminded for decades.
Yeah.
On the flip side, when something bad happens, people are there at your house to help every step of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a small house fire last night that the volunteer fire department was at, and everybody showed up. And everybody helped. And they have teenagers volunteering now, which my son is one of their trainees. There was 3-4 teenagers out there on their day off from school rolling fire hose, which nobody likes to do.
Yeah.
In the rain, but they're there to help because that's how
did you say teenagers?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Listen up, Bourbon.
Yeah. Well, and this is sort of interesting, and because one of the things that always strikes me in some of the conversations we're having about some of this stuff is, there's a lot going on in small communities. Infrastructure is almost unattainable now in-house. But there's also weird ways you're reconnected. We were joking a little bit about the Area 51, but there's that is part here of Lincoln County. But there's some other really interesting developments. For instance, wasn't the line in the Caliente, the train line, that was going to be the grand entrance into the Yucca Mountain facility, right?
At one time, I believe so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is no longer active. But then again, there was the big project to harvest the juniper pines here for aviation biofuel.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, did you guys have a discussion on the nuclear waste coming through your county to go to Yucca Mountain?
They did, but I want to say I was in high school back then. I mean, it was a time ago. It was I don't remember exactly when, but it was before I was.
Sorry, Scott.
An adult.
Like after that commission meeting being
right. Yeah, that was before my time, but I imagine it got a little heated.
Well, but this actually gets a key point because I think one of the things that gets missed a lot of times in talking about this relationship between rural America and these big issues is somehow rural America is isolated. But one of the things we see is someplace like Lincoln County is caught up not in if we can go to the entertainment sector, but, the Yucca Mountain debate. I mean, this is where those trains carrying the waste were supposed to come through. The biofuels, right, which is also interestingly, and I know Jeff Fontaine, who, of course, has been pushing it down here. One of Jeff's big arguments for that is, those pinyon pines don't, they're just fire starters, right? If you don't harvest them, you've got wildfire issues. And then it tied into this cutting edge biofuel for aviation. So it's fascinating how even small rural counties are connected to these bigger issues.
You mean we matter too?
Yeah, precisely.
We do, absolutely. And honestly, I think we're the heart of America. And that's not just Lincoln County. Of course, this county and this town has my heart. But if you look across the nation, you have rural counties throughout every state.
Mm-hmm.
We are everywhere. And at least in my experience, some of our very best assets that come out of these rural communities are our people.
Yeah.
They're amazing because from the time we could walk, talk, crawl, we were learning how to work, how to volunteer, how to help your community, how to be there for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this nation needs.
Right.
Like, we're all connected. We all matter. And again, I sound like a kindergarten teacher, which, old habits, but
I think it's appropriate.
I think that's what we need. I think that's what will make the difference.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting that we're in the process of recovering this. So you want to do a pitch for tourism for Lincoln County, or?
Okay, again, I'm not a great politician. I'm a teacher that just likes to get things done. But if you were to ask me the best thing about Lincoln County and why you should come visit is the nature. I mean, it's beautiful here. We have the Prananga Valley Wildlife Refuge down here in Alamo. We have Kershaw Ryan, Cathedral Gorge. I know I'm going to miss one, and then I'm going to feel bad. Spring Valley. We have our Dark Skies, I think, is Spring Valley Park.
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely beautiful here. You cannot drive from one end of the county to the other and not just feel the majesty of this place. And I'm lucky I get to do it a couple of times a month, because I do. I stop and I look and I think, man, this is a beautiful area. And if you haven't done a mountain bike trail out here, or gone fishing, or just gone out bird watching, you're missing out, and you should definitely make the trip out here.
Well, thank you for taking some time today. I think this has been useful. As usual, you can reach out to us at info@775alive.com if you have any questions. So thank you again for joining us. Until next time, I'm Scott Gavorski.
And I'm Crystal Newton.
And we'll see you around the 775.